Hello, hello. Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for hopping on and joining on this session of Motherhood and Sales. I'm super excited to have everyone here. Our panelists are ready to go. We're all excited to just kind of talk about what this year has been like. So thank you everyone for hopping on. I do want to give a huge shout out to the women in sales community. This community is really focused on supporting women in this space in sales, and we have been doing just that. Panels like this and more have just kind of helped a lot of us connect with each other all over the globe, like not even just in the States. So thankful. If you're not a part of the community, Alexine will definitely drop something in the chat for you guys to hop on and join the community and get a part of the fun. But thankful for communities like this where we can just have moments to step away from our day to day and just share a little bit more about what we're doing. So I'm Candace Banks. I work in sales enablement at a company called 66 Degrees. I've been in this space for a few years now, navigated transitioning to this space as a mom. I'm a mom of two. I have an 18-year-old and a 5-year-old. She'll be six. She'll be six soon. 18-year-old and 6-year-old. So I've just been having a lot of fun. I work from home with her. I get all the challenges of balancing mom life, teenage life, and all of that. And I'm based right out of Chicago in Northwest Indiana. So a small town called St. John, Indiana. If anyone has heard of it, drop it in this chat, let me know. But yeah, I am having fun with this. I thought that a connection like this is super important because us moms do a lot on our day to day. And I think it's nice to just talk about it and build off of other people's ideas in this space as well. So whoever is on here, drop where you guys are tuning in from in the chat for us, just so we can get an idea of where you guys are. And I am going to introduce all my panelists. If you could just let us know where you guys are from and then how many kids you have as well. So Jillian, I'll start with you.
Awesome. So I am in Central Texas. I saw somebody in the chat from Dallas. I live in Gonzales. It's about an hour and a half outside of San Antonio is the closest city to me. But just like you, Candace, if anybody has heard of it, that would be surprising. I'd love to hear it in the chat. I have two kiddos and I'm very authentic with them. So I have a 2-year-old, he's almost 2.5. And then I have a 9-month-old who thinks sleep is for the weak right now. So forgive me if I'm stuttering through things at the moment. And I actually just experienced a layoff, which was unfortunate. But so now I'm a mom in sales and a mom in the job market. So we can talk about all the joys of that if we want to today.
Yes,
Thanks for
yes.
having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Arena, if you want to go next.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Candace. I'm super excited to be here. I am from originally from Hawaii, hence the beach scene, but I'm here in mainland California, Bay Area mostly, but I just recently moved towards like NorCal, Elk Grove area in Sacramento. I am a mom of three. I have a 19-year-old, go Ducks. She's at UO right now. I have a 16-year-old who is a junior in high school, the best times. And then I have a 3-year-old who just started preschool, our little boy who is just a ball of energy. So just trying to hold it down in all different stages of parenthood here. But I'm excited to be here. Like Jillian, I mean, I have spent a lot of time this year on growth and really just figuring out what I want to do next and also in the job market. So talking through those challenges will be fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Lindsay, go right ahead.
I promise I'm not copying Rena, but she and I have so many parallels here. Also originally from Hawaii when I was growing up. We came to the mainland. I'm also in the Bay Area. I'm in the East Bay, so a lot of Bay people in the comments. And I also have my children very spread apart. So we've got the 24-year-old who also was a duck. She and I also learned that about each other recently. He recently moved out and is on his own, which has been great and a transition. But then we also have a 10-year-old and we have a 6-year-old. So we like we like having all the life stages just all the time. Just always, never a dull moment, and they're all boys. So
Oh my goodness, all boys too. That's fun. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for the quick intros. That's so funny that you guys have that in common. A lot in common at that. And that's crazy. I want to ask, did you all know each other before joining this community or no?
no,
No.
No, this is cool.
no, this
Moments like this.
particular webinar brought Rena and I together, and Jillian and I linked in.
I think so.
LinkedIn was our original source. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And then I
Nice.
met all of y'all through Women in Sales. So very cool. Okay. Just wanted to know. Just wanted to get that out there to see if you guys knew each other, but that's funny. That's very small world, especially with the ducks. That's very small.
Ducks.
Um, so just want to talk about what are some key learnings that you guys have from this year? I know we're coming up, we're not coming up, we're actually in Q4 now, for most teams at least. So what are some key learnings that you've had professionally? And if you want to share something personal as well, you can do that. So I'll start with you, Lindsay, since we went reverse. If you can just
Key learnings. Everything's learning. I've realized too, actually, so I'm a fractional sales leader. I forgot to say what I do. So I've been in startup world for over a decade and in sales leadership for much of it. And so if I was going to talk about key learning, I went fractional at the end of last year. I decided to super duper go for it. And so you know, it's a lot different than I think a lot of people think, when you become a fractional leader. And I've gotten so many people have been like, oh, I've been interested in getting into that, and like, tell me more about that. And I think there's a bit of a, like a shiny, like aspect about it. And it's no different than like starting your own business, and so it's difficult. You have to, really change your mindset about a lot of things when you come from working, like a W-2 job. So I'd say like my key learning has actually been the power and value of LinkedIn. I literally would tell people, they'd be like, oh, I really should be on there more. And I'd always be like, don't go on there. Just don't do it. And I never cared to be on there for anything much. I was always too busy with my job. And got out of my comfort zone when I went fractional, realizing I kind of need to do this more and change my mindset about it a little bit. And honestly, it wasn't even until the last, I feel like, few months that I really realized like the value of it and all the positive things that actually can come out of it. And because of LinkedIn, like Jillian and I have become really good friends. Like she's an incredible support system for me, recently. And it seems, I mean, I was telling my mom about it a little bit yesterday, and to her, she's like, what? Like you're finding like friendships on LinkedIn, And then I'm like, yeah, believe it or not, like it's a pretty incredible place. So key learning is LinkedIn for me is actually a huge part of my life, period now, professionally and personally. But as with anything, you gotta curate it and you gotta use it right.
Yeah, I agree. And we call it social currency. That's what me and my husband call it. Because that's what it really is. Like if you invest in it and you like take those connections so seriously and get to know those people, then you can have bonds like what you two have and then some, like, so I love LinkedIn. I'm LinkedIn obsessed. So
I've
um
been converted.
have you? I know, same, because I think when I first got to this space, I was more hesitant about LinkedIn. And I was just like another social media type account. But now that's the first thing I check when I'm in the morning. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but yeah, it's the first thing I check.
We won't get into that part.
Right. How about you, Rena? What are some key learnings for you this year?
Yeah, this year was really just a year of learning, I think, for me. I had this whole idea, I think a lot of us moms do, that we can actually do it all, right? um, and do it all perfectly. I think my husband always says, "Stop volunteering, stop raising your hand because you volunteer me," right? But it really was just about recognizing the power of like setting boundaries, right? And just learning that I need to say no sometimes, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, whether it's with like my child's schools. I'm always saying yes and I'm always volunteering. And so just really just setting that boundary and learning to say no when I need to without the guilt. I think I also, along that process, learned the importance of really just that mental health and the value of really just taking time for myself. It's it feels really selfish, I think, as us moms to say we need to take time for ourselves. But this year I did that. And so prioritizing my well-being is just showing up as a better leader, I think, is a big thing, right? A better mom ultimately, and just a better version for myself, I think, is my biggest thing that I learned this year.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, and I feel like we all get that. Like we sign up to do so much, and it's hard to say no, especially when it comes to for things for your kids. So that's a good learning to have this year for sure. What about you, Jillian? What do you think?
So I think professionally, my biggest learning was I hopped into the sales world a couple of years ago, but over this last year, there were a lot of changes at the organization that I was with, and I learned a lot about sales generally. I learned that showing up on LinkedIn and learning from other sales leaders is super valuable. Um, Building a sales library is super valuable. And the biggest sales piece that I think I learned with my organization was that you don't want to discount your way to a deal. Although that can be appealing, it's a quick way to maybe bring in the bucks, but it just inevitably leads to churn. So I'm on that train all the time, and it's something that I've pushed back against. So I don't know why that stands out for me so much, but it's something that I learned the hard way and want to continue to apply moving forward. Personally, I think I have found that and come to believe more and more that motherhood is such a strength, and authenticity in motherhood is such a strength, both professionally and personally. And so I've really dug into the skills that I've honed as a mother. Strategic thinking, prioritization, time management. These are all things that maybe we had skills doing before, but they become so much more amplified when you become a mother. And I had my daughter in January, so I became the mom of two in January, which is just a whole new landscape. And so I show up really authentically as a mom with clients and prospects and now job interviews. I want people to know that that's a huge part of my life and it's a huge freaking asset. So I want to continue to show up in that way for myself, but also to show up that way publicly um, on LinkedIn, because I think other mothers can benefit from hearing these stories, knowing that they're not alone. I love to see people chip in on conversations and say, like, hey, I feel this way too. And it's really good to hear your story, because motherhood can be really lonely, but surrounding yourself with community on LinkedIn or in Women in Sales, all these beautiful places that we show up and support each other, it's everything. So,
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I always say one thing that I always had with my kids, even before I got to sales, is negotiation skills. Like if you can negotiate with a toddler to eat the food or whatever you need them to do, like you can negotiate anything. Like it's a walk in the park to me.
Oh,
Everything.
I'm sure your negotiation skills with your teenager too have
Oh,
gotten real good. Mhm.
yes, I know you know those.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's like I'm like, "You guys don't know, like, we're skilled on a different level." Like, it's like we're constantly on the job training at home. So, I'm always in sales.
Mhm.
That's funny. So on the lines of that then, so I'm glad you guys shared those learnings with us. What are some things you wish you could have maybe done more of? Are there things that you could have tapped into a little bit more, resources, maybe more, get more busy on like social? What are some things that you wish you could have done more of? Anyone can go.
I will go. I'm already unmuted. Um, Actually kind of taking a page from Rena too, going fractional, in the beginning, I didn't feel like I feel like I was spending more time than ever on working, than I was before. And you're really committed to kind of starting a business in that way. And I don't just do fractional work, I advise and I coach. So I was just like, oh, I got to constantly be doing everything all the time, and saying yes to everything, which I've been guilty of my whole life too. So that's okay that, for me to have had that for a period of time, but it wasn't until more recently where I was like, when I have these open times, I should enjoy them. I should do something that brings me joy. And not be like, oh, well, I should be doing something, or that guilt sending in of maybe something that related to my business or taking care of something in the house or whatever. It's like one of the good shiny beauty things of fractional, if you've gotten yourself established enough, is you don't work full time, maybe. So therefore, you can go do that. And I've already had an awesome mama find me on LinkedIn and sent me a message about my cricket stuff. I am a crazy cricket lady. I should have been cricketing more all year. So that's my kind of my one thing I've started taking away, honestly, just in this last month.
Yeah, same. I feel the same way. Go ahead, Julian.
I was just gonna say, I feel like I've gotten pretty great at networking on LinkedIn and in virtual spaces, and I suck at it in person. And so I think I just have this sort of social anxiety in person situations, which is something that's been a little bit more difficult for me to admit. And my kids had a daycare party for Halloween last Friday, for example, and I was like, do I want to go without my husband? Do I really want to meet all these families? And he ended up taking off work early to surprise me to go with me, which was super sweet. But it's never as difficult or uncomfortable as you think it's going to be once you get there, just like with doing this webinar, taking a leap. So I think taking more leaps and trusting that most of the people that we encounter are going to be good. They want to cheer us on. They want to be part of the good that we're building, and being okay with bringing that to in-person spaces too. I live in a really rural community, and so we don't have a lot. I don't really have neighbors. And so as my kids get older too, I want to make sure that I'm networking and being in real space with people so my kids have friends to grow up with as well. And so I think that's something that's going to continue to evolve for me as a mom. And it'll be really good for me too.
That's
awesome.
a really good point, Jillian, about when you go to in-person stuff, how most likely all those people are there because they wanted to do that and they're coming with something, good and positive, versus that's the, one of the downsides to LinkedIn networking, well, the keyboard warriors, and stuff. So that's encouraging because I'm with you. It was Alexine got me out of my hibernation and over into a dinner with wonderful women in sales, and it was amazing. And I was like, I should do this more often. I should go outside.
Yeah, it's always such a good experience when you just take the leap, but for some reason all the buildup is so much. So I'm gonna do more of it.
Yeah. I actually wanted to say something around self-reflection, because I think I still need to do that. I wish I'd do it more, but now I agree with you, Jillian. I mean, I feel like my tan, my Hawaii glow is gone. Everything's gone because I stay inside and I'm not doing anything. But I definitely I'm teen mom, go outside, do stuff, and I try to build that community for my kids as well. And so I haven't done that a lot this year because I focused a lot on self growth and working with coaches and just growing my business, right? And so I just need some color. And so I agree. Going outside, build that community, and getting color.
I mean, Rena, you and I ran around with no shoes on all the time. What happened?
I don't know. It may sound like it's TMI, but my sand was my my callus remover, and now I'm like, man, I have to go to get a pedicure so many times now. It's so weird.
That's funny. That's good. Yeah. I feel the same as you too. And I think for me, I don't take moments to like slow down and just take a look at like what I've done so far. Like even like coming into this, I was sitting back yesterday thinking like what have I worked towards so far? Like what have I done? And it's a lot. And I don't post a lot on social because I'm so heads down this year with like growth in my new role that I just don't have time to come up for air. I always tell Alexine, like I was like, I don't know when I'm coming up for air, but when I come up, I'll be ready. And I'm like, I haven't taken time to just like celebrate myself, which isn't fair to me. I'm just like on to the next project, on to the next win. So just slowing down a little bit is something that I wish I would have done more. And I'm going to be a little bit more, try to be a little more proactive about doing it. So now the question more like geared towards to like parenting, because I know this has been like a challenge. It was a challenge for me, I think, in my first role. But I think this summer I kind of had it down packed a little bit. Me and my husband tag teamed a bit. But like how have you guys balanced parenting during the summer months? Because that's 3 months out of school. And I don't know if you all are working remote or like hybrid. But like how have you balanced it and navigated that? What's like your schedule like? Are you and your partner tag teaming on calls? Like what do you do through summer months, and even like when your kids get sick? Like what are some suggestions that you guys have that works for you? I'll start with Rena.
Yes. um, I'll be really honest. I leaned a lot on my duck. As crazy as that sounds, because she didn't have any more sports conditioning, or she didn't have any like extra stuff that she had to do. Right, she was there for me this summer, and I was super thankful. My just her and my husband just really just helped tag team and be able to do that, right? While I can go ahead and do the day-to-day life, and work through, building our empire for them. But it really just, I think for me, it was just really honing in on having flexibility, but also at the same time setting clear like office hours, setting clear mom hours, like setting like clear days for to do certain things, like not opening my laptop on the weekend, right? Because then I can focus on being able to take them somewhere during the summer, or any of those things. So it's just really just understanding my calendar a bit more. If I showed you my calendar, I show a lot of people my calendar, or they're sitting next to me and looking at it, they're like, why do you have so many colors on your calendar? I'm like, you don't even know. Don't let me open this calendar. But it's crazy. And so, but I have worked, I think, even when I was at IC way back in the days, like for me, it's about sticking to that calendar, right? And that's something I've been able to do, and I'm just thankful for my family to be able to help support my calendar.
I love that. Yeah, I have so many colors and only I understand them. My husband was like, "Can you like do a recording and say what your colors mean?" I was like, I don't have time. I don't have time in my calendar to do an explanation of what my calendar is. But no, the colors help tremendously. What about you, Lindsay? I saw you come off.
Um, I actually have gotten that asked before a lot too, and I see it. I put my kids in childcare. They are not home with me.
I
I'm
love
working.
yeah.
So I there, don't get me started on this incredible viral post that Ashley Coghill had put about remote working mothers and the assumption that we get given that we should have our kids home if we work remotely. Um, and it's not just women. There are men. There are a lot of men that got all like, I'm a man and I do this too. We weren't talking to you. It's fine. Um, Fine. But yeah, I've been working remotely since 2019. And my children go to school and childcare. That's how we do summer. It's no different. And also, like Rena, it is like a big void because it's my child not in the house, but like having that adult child around um was great. Too, because even if they were at like their childcare, if I'm going to start dinner or if I wanted to work a little later that day, if he was around, he was like, I'll go get my brothers. Okay. I love you so much. So yeah, that dynamic, obviously changed a lot, and he's been a part of that village. But yeah, I just want to let moms know, like, if you have the financial means to send your children to childcare or have a nanny or whatever it is, be, do it. Like, absolutely do it. There is literal no reason why you should be struggling. When they're sick, that's a whole nother story. They're sick. I'm default parent and I work from home. So we're just going to be having one of those, days or few days and whatever. But like on a normal basis, like, yeah. And honestly, like I also didn't agree to doing certain sports and stuff that would be like right in the middle of my day because I'm working. Like they're just fine. They do every flipping thing in the world during other times and other hours. And I'm an Uber driver, more than I need to be as it is. So, you know, use your resources that you have that you need to use to still feel sane doing your job or finding a job.
Yeah, I agree. Same. That's me. If it's 1 year we did nanny service, this year we used grandparents and nannies, that we did a combination. I'm like, whatever we have to do, but like I am pro hire help if you have it, if you need it, and pro making the teenagers go help and pick up their siblings. Like I'm like, you drive, you're on the insurance
That I
like
pay for.
yeah, that I pay for. I'm like, you gotta earn
Right.
your
And
keep,
it's not
girl.
cheap.
It's not.
No, it is not.
It's not. So incorporating my teen, I have zero mom guilt when it comes to having my teenager help me with my youngest. So I'm like, no, like, come on.
We are family. This is
Right.
what we do.
What about you, Jillian? What do you do throughout the summers?
Well, I haven't experienced the lack of childcare during the summer yet because mine are so young. But it's definitely a challenge I'm not particularly looking forward to. I hope that I'll be able to afford childcare in the summertime too once they are in school. But like Lindsay, I'm the default parent as well, and my husband works out of the home, and he is a machinist, and he cannot do that remotely. So I often or always am the one that ends up, picking them up from daycare when they throw up for some unknown reason or whatever the case may be. I picked up my daughter twice in the last month or so. They said she threw up and then she had zero symptoms when she was home. So I never understand what's going on. She just thinks it's funny maybe. But because I do all of that, because I do all the pediatrician appointments and the chiropractic appointments for the baby, and I also end up cooking supper, and I do drop off and pick up because my husband works in the opposite direction of daycare, and we're in a rural community where we're 30 minutes away from our daycare. It's a lot, and I end up working funny hours to make sure that I'm able to get everything done in a day. But my husband is really incredible, and I've communicated really clearly with him about what I need when he gets home, and he knows, like, you come through the door, you're taking over these kids, either because I need to do work or I need to walk outside and clear my head and not get angry with the children because I love them so much, but they're loud. So we'll see what happens with summers when we get there. But right now, for me, it's more just really clear communication within my household to balance everything and make it work.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm the default parent too. And sometimes I'm like, why am I the default parent? Like some weeks being the default parent. My daughter, my youngest, has been sick 3 times since the school back to school. She's had everything. She's had COVID, strep, and then she got croup. I was like, croup? Who's getting croup? Like,
Yeah.
and how did you get croup?
My 10-year-old got croup 3 times. Like,
What's going on?
yeah.
I'm like, and it's not even like we're not even like good fall, winter weather yet out here. It's still been warm. So I was like, you're getting croup in 80 degrees. Like, so yeah, the default parent is, I mean, but I was gonna say, Rena, you said you do mom days. Is that like wellness days that you're doing? What are your mom days like?
My mom days are just going to take him to the park, right? To let this guy like just run a million miles a minute. And then having his sister chase him because I'm sure is not doing that. But or just my daughter's wanting to go get boba, and then we just drive somewhere far so that we're not back at home, right? And so just ensuring that I don't pick up my phone for LinkedIn because I'm guilty of that. I'm like, oh, what's going on today, right? And my kids, they're not afraid to remind me, and because I've asked them to, right? Like, this is your day. Remind me if you see me, and they're not afraid to. I got two older sassy ones that are just like, put your phone down, mom. I'm like, okay, you
My
got
boy
me.
loves to slap my laptop closed. So I'm like,
Oh yeah,
all right, okay,
absolutely.
okay. I get it, kid. I hear you.
Oh my goodness, that's funny. Oh, so your mom days are like spending time with the kids. I thought your mom days were wellness days where you're like, this is me, my time. Uh, um,
See,
so I've just started
that's
doing that.
where
I haven't done wellness days like that. And my boss, she's a mom too. And I was like, I am burnt out. And I hate to admit this, but I was like, I am like struggling. Like I rolled out something really big a couple weeks ago. It was a really heavy project and I'm like exhausted from it. And I just haven't been able to like get my energy back up where I needed to start any other projects. And she's like, you need a wellness day ASAP. And so I took one yesterday and it was the first time and I didn't know what to do, y'all. I didn't know what to do. I was like, my youngest was at school, my oldest, she's in college. She went to school for the day and my husband was gone. Like, so I'm like, what do I do? Like I didn't book a massage or nothing. So then I started scrambling to book a massage. So I got a massage, I got a facial. So that worked out. And then my oldest agreed to pick my youngest up from school for me. So that worked out. And then we went to a concert. So I was like, this was like my first wellness day. And I'm so mad that I cheated myself all this time. And I've never
cheated.
cheated. I've never done
You
them.
got
You went to
you
a
got a
concert on a school
massage.
night?
I went to a concert on a school night,
Oh,
y'all, and I still have a voice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's
you
cool.
need
That's
to schedule those proactively. That's what
I know.
I
So is that what you do? You schedule them out? How often are you doing them?
Mm.
I had not been good about it this year at
Okay.
all, going fractional. That's one thing too, where like you have not this isn't always the case, but often the case of like a little bit more of a given cadence when you have like a full-time job. And things like PTO and like or whatever. And then when when you're in business, you're like you have to like make it, a little bit more for yourself. So I was really, really pretty awful about it this year. But before that, I was very well known for me days. So I would go in for at least 6 months ahead of time. Because if you don't do it,
Okay.
it won't happen.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where like, I'm gonna crash. And then you say, go take a day, which is great, but like you're trying to avoid getting to that feeling, which is like almost impossible, I feel like, as a mom. But proactively, I would go and just choose a day, always a Monday or a Friday. So I was having
Yeah.
a longer weekend or something. And only a day where no one else is home because it's not going to be a me day if other people are around.
Yeah.
And I do whatever I want that day. A lot of times it involved cricketing. A lot of times it involved cricketing. But or it could just whatever I wanted to do that day. And everyone at work knew, like, oh yeah, Lindsay's having a me day. And so more people started, I'm gonna do that too, right? And so it's like it's the smaller incremental things that help me more than saying like, oh my God, I cannot wait to this, vacation that we're taking for a week off. Like, I don't know if people ever realize when they take that week off and they're like, I mean, that was great, but I don't really feel
Nope.
like that ready to go back to, you want to come back from time off being like, I am ready to conquer the world, right?
Yeah.
And we don't typically get that, and I think it's because we're just waiting until we get that break versus having enough of the proactive spaces in between.
Yeah. So I'm trying to catch someone in the chat said we're never off. Let's be real. And I do feel that way. Like as parents, like we are never off. Like, so that's nice that you proactively schedule it instead of doing a burnouts like I just did. And I think like being more vocal at work about it too. I was kind of nervous to like tell my boss that like I'm burnt out. And it's like I set such high expectations for myself and those become my limitations. Because now it's like I'm burnt out, but I'm not going to be able to do anything to the level that I need to if I don't stop and like take this time for myself away from the kids, away from everything. So I should schedule more. So thank you for that. I appreciate you.
I will remind you.
Please.
Mhm.
Please.
Or remind you, since I obviously didn't do it very well this year.
Right. We're all gonna hold each other accountable. We'll all hold each other
And
accountable.
we'll have to choose a color.
Yes. Yes. What feels like vacation? What feels like wellness? Always like the cool blues.
I was gonna say, give me a blue, give me a teal, but that's
Yeah.
unfortunately always what I choose if people know
Right.
me well enough. So not that
That's
helpful.
so what about navigating holidays and end of the year goals? Like how are you guys doing that, keeping up with that? Um, especially with it being Q4. I don't know how everyone's year has been and ending, but like how are you navigating that and balancing like getting time with your family? Because I know holidays are important to many. Start you, Jillian.
Well, my end of year goals have changed now that I am on the job market. So my end of year goal is getting employment again in time, especially to make the holidays magical, because I think that's what's really important to me. My mom was always so great at making the holidays magical, and I want that for my kids. So maybe it looks different this year as we have to be a little bit more cost conscious, and I think there's an opportunity to source all sorts of low cost ideas to make things magical. And so, unfortunately, my kids are young enough too, where just having a tree and putting up lights is magic. So, I think that things will be great. With the holidays too, they bring so much joy and so much sadness, I think, depending on your situation. And so this year, I don't have a ton of family around me. We have my father-in-law that lives very nearby, but my parents are not in the picture, and my mother-in-law passed away just a couple of weeks after my son was born. And so this will be the second year without her. And I often feel like I'm carrying the burden of the emotions for both my husband and my father-in-law and now my kids. And so I think this year, I know this has nothing to do with sales really, but I
No,
think
this is
this year
good.
I'm gonna put a lot of effort into finding the magic, embracing my feelings around everything, and finding ways to just really create meaningful moments with my kids and my
Yeah.
family and my husband and my father-in-law, and bringing them really close and holding them really dear, especially in a time that's hard for my family with the loss of income and everything. So
Yeah. I love
that's
that.
my
Someone wrote in the chat, you are the magic, Jillian. So you are. I
focus.
agree. I agree.
Sweet,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, no, and I think honestly, I think you're gonna have so much fun like creating it like simplistically this year. Like
Yeah,
some of the things you come up with, I think it's gonna be things that you hold on to for forever. So
yeah,
it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
yeah. It'll just be where I place my focus, and actually, that sounds great.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
What about you, Marina? How do you navigate it?
Yeah. My end of year goals also changed. I mean, I've done a lot this past year to be able to build my legacy for my family with the Nota Holdings and just really inheriting or getting a lot of different properties. So we do property management, we do like just investing and things like that on our side. But I think I spent a lot of time this year in doing that. So navigating the holidays and like end of the year goals, they have changed now that I've done that. I would love to get back into the corporate world. So I am officially, I guess, unofficially announcing that I am going back on the job market as well, and looking for that next step. And so, just like Jillian said, it really is just prioritizing my time, right? And figuring out, what's the most important to me. And that's just how I'm going to navigate it. And just like Jillian, for my family, holidays are big, right? On my side, and so just really being able to make it magical. I love, Lindsay, that you had that cricket because we are a big cricket family too, and we do everything with it. So, Jillian, I think you need to get a cricket so that you can go ahead and
Yep.
create all your own stuff and make it magical that way. But yeah, I mean, I think navigating just prioritizing what's most important, and that's my family first, right? And then obviously being able to to, if we talked about gifting and making it magical that way, being able to find that extra bump in income to be able to support that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we may have to start a hobbies channel on the
Yes.
women in sales community so everyone
Crazy
can.
Cricket Ladies channel.
Yeah, I haven't joined in on the cricket fun. I always wanted to, but I just never got into it yet. And now I'm like, you guys got me like wanting to try it for real. So maybe we'll have to do that. I'll tell Alexine. Hobbies channel. What about you, Lindsay? How are you navigating?
It's gonna be a little different than I think I've been used to before, given again, like fractionally, like I am planning on, telling all my like customers and stuff, like I'm not working during these times. But I've always been actually really good about taking that time off around the holidays for a while. Even when I worked at a company, because yeah, I mean, big family, and I want to do stuff and be there and be present. Plus, we also travel down to San Diego because that's where my family's at too. So there's always between what we're doing here and there, and the whole family is a bunch of mixed families and stuff too. So there's always, it's not just ours. We got to share a lot. So, just I have to give myself like a whole kind of mindset pep talk before the holidays about just like letting it just go the way it goes now, because for a while it was just like so much pressure about making sure we fit people's schedules and this isn't the that. And then finally one year I about had it, and I was like, you know what, you come if you can come, and you don't if you can't, and it doesn't hurt my feelings, and I don't care. And if that bothers other people in the family, that's their problem. Because I would hold out my husband, he'd stopped giving to what's a really long time ago. That man has been bossed around by the bossiest Latino women his whole life, then finds another bossy lady to marry. So I don't really feel bad. But like, when I came into the picture, he was like, great, like, here you go. And some years ago, I had an epic meltdown after either Thanksgiving or Christmas. And I was just like, you don't realize the amount of freaking like coordination and politics. Oh, I remember it was after Thanksgiving because his mother does not like smoked turkey. And everybody else loved it when we made the turkey in the smoker. So I have to make sure to do a turkey in the oven. And then we also have the smoked turkey. But then like they all love to mess with her and be all like, no, we're not going to do that, and you're going to have to eat a smoked turkey, just because like they want to get a rise out of her, which is a really stupid idea. And there's all the politics about it, right? And so I just had this meltdown after, and I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I don't mind doing 2 turkeys because there's a lot of people we're feeding, and we can have that. But other than that, like, you come if you come, and whatever. And so I want to just be present and enjoy that. Yeah. And the last thing I'm going to worry about is work.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really difficult when you're in sales to have that mentality, whether you're an IC, whether you're the VP of sales and we're trying to make the number at the end of the year. Like, I get it, but like, one, this is not the time of year where you're going to be like doing a lot of things. It's everyone kind of comes to a close in certain ways. So if you couldn't figure out what your plan was going to be probably by before Thanksgiving time, everything needs to be gravy here on out, and you need to go and enjoy your time, whatever that might mean. And so I'm a huge advocate for that for people that I either manage or my friends, or myself, because to Jillian's point, like, there can be a lot of joy and magic, and there can be a lot of grief and sadness. That's something that we experience in my family too. So like, you need to give yourself enough space for all that, and job comes underneath all of it.
Yep, 1000%. Yeah.
This is a sales leader telling you to screw your quota, kind of.
Family first.
Build your pipeline well before the holiday gets here, right?
Yeah. Plan for it. Exactly. Don't play catch up.
Yeah. Not a good time to be doing that.
Yeah. All right. So let's shift gears. I want to celebrate some wins. I want to know, like, professionally, personally, what's some things that you all are just so proud of yourself about? I can share first. I shifted roles and now into like the role that I always want to be in, which is the sales enablement role this year. And I'm leading a team and I'm having a lot of fun and I'm growing a ton. And for me, that was huge. I get social anxiety with just everything. And so for me, like stepping into this role, filling these big shoes, and just like taking it as it is, like, and appreciating that everything is not going to be perfect as I'm doing it is a huge one for me because I'm not that person. And then if I could say personally, my family is just doing really good. Like I'm proud of my girls. Like my oldest is doing really well in school. And just as a family, we've been very intentional about spending time together. And we've taken like the most family trips this year that we've ever taken in our whole existence of a family because we're a blended family. And so for me, those moments are amazing. Just getting time with my girls, because especially with my oldest being 18, it's crazy to me. And she's dating now, so it's even crazier because she can potentially be gone and who knows how many years if they decide to do their own thing. That it's just I'm proud of myself for making time to spend time with them, even though like in between the work is like crazy. It's worth it. It's worth the sacrifice. So what about you all? Jillian, what about you? Anything professionally, personally that you are proud of this year?
I'm honestly really proud of myself and excited that I have taken on freelance and contract work for the first time. It's given me a cushion to fall back on as I search for W-2, but it's also just the things that I'm doing, which is mostly content creation, content marketing, freelance has fed into a passion that I've had for a long time. And I often tell people in another life I would have been a writer. And finally I'm like, why not this life? So I think, and content marketing is a big part of sales. And so I'm proud of myself for taking a leap, I guess, sort of um, figuring things out as they go and just being open to new opportunities and new ways of making money that I've never been open to before. So terrifying and exciting. And personally,
Cough, cough. It's with Samantha McKenna, by the
Ooh,
way.
let's go.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm doing contract work with Sam Sales Consulting, which is super awesome. And then I actually have a couple of my own independent freelance clients as well. So it's been really great. It's cool to send off a proposal and have it accepted. So what a thrill.
Yeah.
And then, personally, it's been cool to watch myself continue to grow into motherhood. I think I'm coming into my own. I think a lot of times we have this push pull where the world is telling us that it's more important to maintain our own identity and um, continue to be career women. And I think it's important to recognize what's most important to you, what you really want out of yourself. I think it's really great to continue to be a career woman and let your motherhood amplify the things that you're doing. And I think it's also great to put being a mom first. So I was actually asked in an interview yesterday if I was a mom first or an employee first. Or it was more phrased like, if you're a mom first, this might not be the role for you right now. And I actually really appreciated it. It was very kindly phrased because this person really wanted me to understand the culture and where the company was in this exact moment. Right. So I appreciated it. And I said, I am a mom first and an employee second, but I'm also the primary breadwinner in my household and I'm willing to do what it takes. And so it just led to more questions about the culture, like what does your flexibility look like? Can I work really weird hours to get all of this work done? And so anyway, all of this to say, I'm proud of myself for standing up for what is most important to me, which is being a mom, and then also finding ways to make it work to be that primary breadwinner in my family. So yeah.
That's awesome. I'm proud of you too. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rena, what about you?
Yeah, I think for me, I just really want to just celebrate. I mean, last year was a year that I decided. I mean, there's a lot of people, like those Jillian, where their roles were eliminated or there was rifts, right? And for me, last year, I made the decision to say I need to spend time on building my legacy, right, and building our legacy as a family. And so, I'm really proud that I made that decision, right? Not a lot of people had that decision to be able to make, and then for me, I did, and I made that decision with my family's support. But um, I just am really proud of the work that I put in this year to be able to grow that legacy, so that there when the holidays come around, I can put up my 7 trees in my house, right? But, yeah, I worked a lot on LinkedIn, just did a lot of community work to be able to, figure out, where are my places, and what I needed to do to make sure that my legacy is built the way that I want it to be, with my husband and my family. So I'm just really proud that I took that time. I was really scared, and I didn't know, like, okay, I'm gonna quit this W-2 where so many people are losing the W-2, and am I okay to make this decision? And I just said yes, just bet on myself, right? And so that's something I'm super proud of, and I want to celebrate. For my kids, I think it really just having my daughter as a second year as a duck, having my other daughter who this year she's in a million different activities in school where she didn't want to be in any. She didn't want to be at dances. She doesn't like concerts, nothing. But I really like worked with her to be able to put herself out there, and now she's in a ton of different things. And my schedule has gone even crazier. But I'm really proud that I have been able to get her to be able to be that, comfortable with herself and different stages. And so that's something I just want to celebrate. But yeah, and just really just being a part of this community. I was a part of a lot of different communities. I was part of other women communities where I didn't feel like it was the right community for me. And figuring out that I can just jump into something like women in sales and have amazing women like you three, right, be able to back me. And um, yeah, I just want to celebrate not only that win, but also the win for like Alexine and all of what she does, and women in sales for everybody else. So
Love it.
I love all the hearts that keep showing up.
I know.
My-
Love it. What about you,
no
Lindsay?
now, huh? So yeah, I mean, last year, what was it? Like the last day of November, my like dream job was made redundant too, and it was really abrupt. And my husband had lost his job the month before, so um, similar feelings, I think, Jill, from like when we were about to enter into holiday season and be like, oh my God, we have to get jobs. This is not going to feel like the same cushy, maybe feeling we had before with holidays and all that. But because it's no secret that my decision to jump into fractional was necessity, not because I necessarily would have normally. But this year I have just done so many things that I never did before. And so it's same thing. Like I knew about women in sales for so long. I was like, oh yeah, I'd like to be in that community, but like never did, right? Wasn't in communities, wasn't on LinkedIn as I talked about, like just was like, I'm just really heads down into the companies that I'm at. But I'm just really proud of being able to like just jump in, and make something happen as quickly as I did. And my husband didn't get a job until a couple weeks ago. So almost 365 days of him not having a job, me being that breadwinner, and but also saying no to a lot of full-time roles. Like not saying people are like throwing offers at me, but I'm just like being intentional about like, no, like this is the best thing for myself and my family to continue going. Cause I had so many times where I'd be like, oh, should I just maybe go do this one role that I don't really want to do, that probably isn't the best for our family. A lot of that might be like working in an office, commuting into San Francisco, or no, like it is not okay for us and our family, and holding down, our decisions about what was going to be okay, and making huge decision or not huge adjustments on how we did our life. Right. I mean, I literally go there like, damn, we've gone a whole year making way less money than we were making before. And my kids have been fantastic and are thriving, right? So like we, also showed ourselves like what we can make happen when things are different. And I'm just, proud. And this is not to say I have not had my share of freaking epic meltdowns and the world is ending. Oh my God, we're not going to make it. What's happening? But then being like, nope, like, because as a mom, sorry, I'm going to get a little bit like, this is the superpower moms have. You just don't have choice. Like you just do, you just go and you just make it work. And so, I channeled that hard this year.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. Thank you. You guys, this has been such a great session. I know we're coming up on the last like 5 minutes here. Alexine, were there any questions in the chat? I was trying to take a look. If you do have any questions and you want to drop them in, all right. I see some here.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we will try to get through some of these. Thank you. So would love to hear your thought on IC versus leadership, being a mama of your kids. I'm all about it. IC IMO thoughts. So whoever wants to go, Lindsay, if you might
Yeah, actually I'd love that one because I've been both, but like I don't ever want someone to think that they can't pursue leadership if they've got young kiddos or kiddos in general. I never felt like that was more difficult or less difficult. I think it depends on you a little bit too. So like personally, like there's a huge pressure in being the sales leader in an organization, especially if you're like all the way at the top in that way. But I actually felt way more pressure as an IC then and so I think for me personally, I would prefer not being an IC as a kid of young parents, but I was before too. So I think like don't let it keep you, but I think it's just a little bit more about maybe the types of pressures that you either thrive or don't thrive under. And I also think it just matters about the type of intentionality that you're going to create for yourself when you're doing those roles in whatever stage of parenting you're at. So
yeah. Love it. Okay, so we got another one. How do you handle all the networking and happy hours and evening events while trying to be there for your kids? Anyone else been to happy hours? I know I've been to happy hours. Rena or Jillian, have either one of you balanced this yet? If not, I could share.
All I can say about it is I very sadly had to not attend a Women in Sales happy hour that was in Austin because I lost childcare for the evening. So it's just the reality that you have to do what you have to do sometimes. And I think that's why online networking, virtual networking has been a lot simpler for me, but I'm excited to hear what you have to say, Candace, because I need to find ways to better balance the in-person events, certainly.
Yeah, so I take advantage of my calendar and my partner. So when I have one that's coming up, obviously, like about these, most of them about like weeks in advance. Last minute ones you probably will not see me at. But anything that you let me know a couple weeks in advance, I'm typically able to navigate it where I could either go do something with my daughter before, or I'll miss that day of events with her and my husband will take the reins on that and then I'll go. But being present at happy hours, I don't overcommit to it, but I do make myself commit to going to one a month. So I think that's fair for me as a mom, like committing to go to one a month. I probably could do more, but don't want to sacrifice the time that I have with my kids. So I think we got time maybe for one more question. I know we're coming up on the end. So what we'll do is we'll take some of these other questions and we can chat about them a little bit more in our Parenthood and Sales channel that we have in the Women in Sales community. I know Alexine linked it on here and it has it pinned. So if you're not a part of the community, please join the community. Thank you for all you that hopped on here and just took the time out to just breathe and just like get the synergy with us. We're excited to have more of these panels coming up. And thank you to our panelists, Lindsay, Rena, and Jillian. If you're not connected with them, follow them on LinkedIn because we're all trying to get socially right now. Follow, connect with all of us, and then just share like any thoughts that you guys have. If there's any questions that you have for us personally, feel free to drop them in the Women in Sales Parenthood channel. And or if you want to ping us privately, we can do that. But Alexine did agree. I will say before we sign off, she agreed to do a hobbies channel. So we're committing to it. So all the great fans on here, we need you. So just thank you everyone for hopping on, and we will see you at the next session.
Thank
Thank you,
y'all.
Mama.
All right.
Thank